Is there like a beginner guide for the acronyms?
Oh gosh.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Stay Smart. I'm your host, Christine Caldwell, and today I have some very special guests with me. I have Mr. Chuck White, hello, and I have Miss Janet Turner. Hi.
Hi, Christine. It's good to see you.
Mr. Ray De Silva.
Hey, how you doing, Christine?
We want to talk about the differences between military moves and corporate moves. So Ray, why don't you tell us, so how many, movements or shipments go on either domestically, internationally? What's that number look like?
It's between 400,000 and 450,000 shipments a year. That makes them the U.S. government, or the U.S. DoD, actually, the Department of Defense, the largest single shipper of household goods in the world, period.
Chuck, you mentioned winning bids, quality, service, or price. Which one's weighing more?
Yeah. Okay, so the awards, the shipments are awarded out to those TSPs, transportation service providers, utilizing a best value system. And it's really a weighted system that gives you, if you're a participant in the program, a score. And so the higher your score, the better your rating, the more shipments you'll receive. And they weight it by 70-30, 70%, 30%. 70% is based on satisfaction by the customers. They fill out surveys. You get an average of those surveys. That's the quality side. Mm-hmm. And then the 30% is the price side. They meld those two together. They come up with a score, and then the highest scores get the most shipments, the lowest scores, fewer, if any.
So this is why you need a team of data analysts, because you file rates in all these different channels. And a channel is, let's say, California to Colorado. That's one channel. Your CSR rating is going to determine whether you're going to receive any shipments in that particular channel.
Gotcha.
That's why the small business person trying to manage all of these aspects of it. Now imagine if you're a company that is managing 100 TSPs, you can then start to maneuver these TSPs by rate, by score, and so on. And you can position them or even take them out of service at a certain time. Yeah.
So to me, I was just trying to, determine what is the real difference.
So many differences. Oh my God. But everybody knows this. If you live in the United States, you understand anything that has to do with the government, the U.S. government, state governments. God, the layers of bureaucracy are crazy.
One of the things that I found interesting as a difference is that corporate moves, a lot of the policies vary, and there's a lot of variances where with the military move, it's pretty structured on allowances and those type of things, correct?
Yeah. I mean, there are some differences in typically weight allowances. As you're in the military longer, as typically you build a family while you're in the military, you increase in rank in the military. Higher the rank, the more weight entitlements you have.
Regardless if it's corporate or military, I think there's always some sort of anxiety or even emotion that goes into it. Because if you're relocating and in your corporate client, that's a transitional period. Let's say you're military. Do they come back from deployment to help their families relocate?
Sure. Yeah. That's why there are a lot of military spouse groups. Another thing you don't really see on the corporate side, there may be packages that help support on the corporate side the transition of a spouse and helping them to find a new job and schools. Well, unfortunately, that kind of support isn't offered to military families. So, the spouses take on a huge role in the moving process. All of those things that in the corporate arena may be done by some supporting group for that corporation. So
Right. That's true. That's true.
And if you look at the military service member and their families, especially their families, you know, first of all, these are our frontline troops. They're the ones defending our freedom and our country.
Yeah.
So we have to have a certain respect, and we have to have some pride that we're helping with that mission, right?
Mhm.
But the understanding is this, that a lot of times, in order for this transfer to take place, the military service member who's been on deployment in Afghanistan for the last 6 months
Mhm.
is flying home. He hasn't seen his family for 6 months. And what is he walking into? He's walking into the chaos of preparing for a move. It's not, let's relax for a little bit and forget about what I've just been through in Afghanistan.
Right. And also reconnecting with his family. Like that's a very emotional,
Yes.
period as well.
I think most of what I've dealt with on the corporate side is, yeah, we'll move you, but when you get there, you better be ready to go to work. We're not letting you just hang out. Well, the government and military, they do like a transition period. So you're out of your house today, we'll give you a month to be able to get to the other end. And then we expect you to report.
I think because military, it is very structured. You have this set package. But with corporate, it might be lump sum, it might be some managed budget, and may or not have storage, and it's all kind of case by case. So they can choose also to live on base. They don't have to go to a corporate. So I'm in corporate housing. They don't have to go to temporary housing either, right?
They have temporary housing typically on military installations. That's government owned, but they do a lot of now contracting out of that temporary housing.
Right.
But they contract that out to entities like yours, and they're doing a lot of that in the government. If there isn't any available housing on a military installation, then they find a home outside of the military and they're given a housing allowance to help pay for that. But you mentioned, Janet, that global household good contract. This is a single, so they're going to award it to one. We're going to go from 900 to one, and one handling all of that. That's about $2.5 billion a year. That changes the whole picture across the landscape of our industry.
What do you think about that? What's your personal opinion about the single source contract?
There's pros and cons. I believe if it is well managed and if it is properly implemented, it can be a good thing. It sets up a monopoly in a way.
Because that's exactly the word that we utilize.
It's a negative connotation with a monopoly, but in some ways, what it can lead to is standardization. It can lead to an entity that has enough of a budget because they have that kind of scale to make investments in infrastructure, especially technology.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, how it's different from, you got 900 different people,
Right.
and 900 different ways to handle communication and processes. If it's just one, that can be a real positive for them. And then they have one person to go to if something's not going right and say, fix this. Even if you're not involved in the Department of Defense business, you better be keeping an eye out over here for what's going on before somebody comes in and you're looking around going, what the heck just happened? I thought I had that contract sewed up.
Right. Being in corporate housing, then learning the different verticals and, learning more about the military terminology. I mean, I think it's very valuable, one, to my listeners, and two, I'm gaining a lot of knowledge so that I feel like I'm now more valuable to my clients. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. And so thank you to everyone else that's listening in our audience. Thank you for listening, and tune in next time. Remember, stay smart.